6 creatures endured the asteroid that erased the dinosaurs. 5 you may recognize, but the sixth remains hidden. The most improbable survivor of the entire Mesozoic will not appear until the final minutes of this journey. Do not leave before it emerges. Close your eyes now. Imagine a reptilian eye, slit and golden, blinking. A low rumble moves beneath the earth. Above, the sky begins to burn. A world ends in fire, and yet, from the ashes, 6 ancient lineages walked out alive. Who survived the day the sky fell? To understand their triumph, we must travel back 66 million years, to the Cretaceous twilight, a lost world. Continents drifted in unfamiliar shapes. Warm, shallow seas swept across vast regions that today are only dry land. Immense herds of horned dinosaurs grazed on flowering plains, while tyrant predators stalked the winding river deltas below. Above them, winged reptiles the size of small aircraft carved wide, silent arcs through the humid prehistoric air. It was truly a planet ruled by giants, a living cathedral of scale, power, and unimaginable primordial majesty. Nothing on Earth today comes close to it. Then, without warning, the very sky itself became an enemy. A stone from the outer dark, 10 kilometers wide, entered the atmosphere at more than 20 kilometers per second. It struck the shallow tropical sea near what we now call the Yucatán Peninsula, changing our world forever. In a single second, a crater 180 kilometers wide was carved deep into the crust. The energy released was greater than every nuclear weapon ever built by humanity, multiplied 1 billion times over. A titanic pillar of vaporized rock punched through the atmosphere. Molten glass rained across the entire scorched hemisphere. The oceans convulsed with tsunamis taller than mountains, swallowing coastlines and drowning the last echoes of a vanished world. Then came the true killer, the impact winter. A veil of soot and sulfur wrapped the globe. Sunlight faded to a bruised gray twilight. Temperatures collapsed. Photosynthesis stalled. Forests withered across every silent continent. Food chains dissolved from the top down. Acid rain scoured the seas, corroding every reef to lifeless bone. Within a geological blink, 75% of all species on Earth were utterly erased forever from existence. The dinosaurs, the great winged reptiles, the sea monsters of the Mesozoic, all gone. A world vanished. But in the ashes, 6 shadows stirred, waiting patiently through the darkness for their long-earned quiet inheritance. The first survivor is a living relic, a creature so ancient it opens the jaws of the Mesozoic, the crocodilian. Modern science reveals its blueprint has remained essentially unchanged for more than 200 million years. It was already old when the first dinosaur hatched. It was still there when the last dinosaur fell. How did they endure the day the sky fell? The answer lies in patience, in a deliberate stillness. A crocodile is cold-blooded. Its metabolism is a slow, deliberate flame. It can go months without a meal. When the sun dimmed and the food chain shattered, the crocodilian simply waited beneath the silent water. It sank into freshwater rivers and swamp margins. These inland refuges were shielded from the global firestorm. Water absorbed the thermal pulse. Riverbeds became sanctuaries where ancient patience outlasted the falling sky itself entirely. There were terrifying members of this lineage in the Cretaceous. Deinosuchus, a monster 12 meters long, hunted. Deinosuchus stalked duck-billed dinosaurs at the water's murky edge. It did not itself cross the extinction boundary, but its cousins, smaller, quieter, more adaptable, slipped through the darkness into a bright, waiting new dawn. Their descendants still patrol Africa's rivers, Australia's mangroves, and the humid swamps of the American South today. When you meet the eye of a crocodile, you are meeting the last living witness of dinosaurs, a face carved before the asteroid fell, ancient sovereignty enduring, patient, unchanged across 66 million silent years. Consider this. Every mammal, every bird, every human descends from a single survivor of that terrible night. But the crocodile did not merely descend. The crocodile was there. It saw the fire, remembers the ash. If reptiles endured, what became of the tiny warm-blooded creatures that lived hidden beneath their trampling feet? The second survivor is small. So small, it could fit within the palm of your open hand. Shrew-like, furred, nocturnal. In the age of giants, our earliest ancestors were forgotten shadows scurrying beneath fern leaves. They avoided daylight because daylight belonged to predators. In that timidity, in that smallness, lay their salvation. When the asteroid struck, the surface of the entire planet became a griddle of searing incandescent heat. Thermal radiation from re-entering debris raised the temperature of the air to that of a burning oven. Anything larger than a small dog exposed on open ground was cooked alive in minutes without escape. But underground, the story was different. Burrowing mammals had already dug their shelters deep into the soil. Tunnels of soil and knotted root became fortresses against the thermal pulse scouring the surface above them. When the surface cooled at last, they emerged into a ruined world. And that ruined world was theirs. Their diet saved them a second time. Insectivorous, omnivorous, willing to eat almost anything they could find. Insects survived in enormous numbers. Detritus feeders thrived upon the corpses of a dying and decaying ecosystem. A small mammal needed only a handful of grams each day. In a world of scarcity, small is powerful. Among these survivors was a creature paleontologists have named Purgatorius, tree-climbing and no larger than a squirrel. Yet, from its humble bloodline came the primates. From the primates came the apes. From apes, us. Every book you've ever read, every song ever heard, every city ever built traces back here. The extinction did not simply spare our ancestors. It opened every ecological throne in the entire biosphere. And the mammals, patient and small, walked forward through the ash to sit upon the empty thrones. But one survivor did not stay on the ground. This survivor took to the skies, feathered and unforgettable. The third survivor is perhaps most astonishing. It is not merely a descendant of dinosaurs. It is a dinosaur. Modern science confirms it beyond doubt. Watch a sparrow flutter through a hedge. You are seeing a living theropod. When a hawk circles a field, a Cretaceous predator turns in the wind. The dinosaurs never died. Birds remain. The bird lineage branched from small feathered theropods long before impact. By late Cretaceous, feathered flyers were already diverse. They shared skies with great pterosaurs, quieter, smaller, more discreet. When the sky fell, discretion became their shield. Pterosaurs, magnificent as they were, could not endure the collapse. Their bodies too specialized, their food chains too fragile. But the ancestors of modern birds had a secret weapon. Beaks without teeth. It sounds trivial. It was decisive.
A toothless beak can crack open seeds buried in soil. After the asteroid, seeds became the currency of survival. Forests burned, green leaves vanished. Seeds lay dormant in the earth, waiting patiently for any beak to find them. Ground-dwelling birds, ancestors of chickens, ducks, ostriches, pheasants, scratched and pecked through the ash for buried grain. they swallowed and lived. Meanwhile, insects returned in swarms to feast on the dead, and insectivorous birds followed them. One remarkable fossil called the gavis was unearthed in Antarctica, a bird that lived before the Great Extinction struck. Astonishingly, paleontologists recovered part of its vocal organ, and from that fragile shape they reconstructed a lost sound, a soft honking call echoing from the deep Cretaceous, the voice of a survivor that never went silent. Feathers in the end outlasted teeth and claws, while beneath the waves, far older monsters silently waited to rise.
The fourth survivor rules the ocean still. Sharks, silent, tireless, ancient beyond imagining, older than the dinosaurs themselves. The shark lineage stretches back more than 400 million years, patrolling seas before the first tree grew. They watched the rise of the dinosaurs, they watched their fall, and through every apocalypse they did not blink. The Cretaceous oceans held terrifying sharks, some larger than a small boat, and many of them ultimately died. But the family endured, and the reason lies in the quiet geometry of the sea itself: water. Water is the great buffer of the planet. Surface catastrophe travels slowly and reluctantly into the deep abyss. While the sky burned and the land cooled, the Middle Ocean remained comparatively stable, cold, dark, and patient. And sharks are patient. Their skeletons are cartilage, not bone, lighter, cheaper to grow, and endlessly efficient in design. Their metabolism is efficient. They can scavenge as readily as they hunt, adapting to any prey the sea offers. When the great marine reptiles vanished, the mosasaurs, the plesiosaurs, the giant sea turtles of the Cretaceous, sharks fed on the corpses, eating their way through the apocalypse, the apex predator that refused extinction. Modern sharks descend from that dark inheritance. Great white, tiger, bull, hammerhead. Every fin carries a lineage that survived. The deep ocean feels like mystery. In truth, it is memory, a living memory of the world before fire. But one survivor is older than dinosaurs themselves, and one survivor carries its home upon its back. The fifth survivor is a walking fortress, the turtle. Consider it with a paleontologist's awe, not a keeper's affection. A turtle carries a portable bunker, ribs fused into a dome of armor. It withdraws entirely from the world. This body plan is more than 200 million years old. It has outlasted every fashion of evolution, and it worked spectacularly well when the sky fell. Aquatic turtles simply submerged beneath the poisoned surface. Beneath a meter of pond water, a slow-metabolizing reptile could sit for weeks while thermal pulses dissipated above. Airborne debris passed harmlessly over. When conditions eased at last, the turtle surfaced, still breathing, still hungry, still alive. Land turtles retreated into shells, into burrows, into shaded crevices. Their metabolism dropped so low they consumed almost nothing. Dormancy. This is the true weapon of the turtle: to sleep through disaster, to slow the heart entirely. The great sea turtles of the Cretaceous, giants like Archelon 4 meters across, did not all cross. But their smaller relatives did survive, and from those relatives descended every single turtle now living on Earth today. Leatherback drifting through Pacific currents, tortoise trudging across a Galapagos hillside, pond slider basking quietly upon a log. Every one of them is a living time capsule of the Mesozoic, a message from a lost epoch. When a turtle looks at you unblinking, it stares with eyes that watch the sky burn without flinching. The final survivor of the extinction is hiding right now in your garden, the sixth improbable heir. Fragile in appearance, delicate in skin, yet when the sky fell, this small creature endured while giants perished. The amphibian, humble frogs and salamanders, the most improbable survivors of the great Mesozoic extinction event on Earth. Consider the paradox. Amphibian skin is thin, permeable, exquisitely sensitive to every subtle chemical change around it. When acid rain scoured the earth after the impact, one would expect amphibians to die first of all. And yet, they lived when great reptiles fell, and lived when the marine giants vanished into darkening waters below. They lived on when the ancient forests burned to smoking charcoal beneath a sky choked with ash. How? The answer lies in fresh water, ponds, streams, and wetlands that buffered the worst of the chemical assault. Rainwater flowed through soil and vegetation, and acids were slowly neutralized by minerals hidden deep in the earth. Aquatic sediments filtered the toxins. A frog egg at the bottom of a shaded pool remained mostly safe, far safer than any dinosaur egg lying openly exposed on the sunburned, ash-swept, wide-open Cretaceous plain. Salamanders retreated beneath fallen logs and stones, where humidity stayed constant and daily temperature swings were gently softened. Amphibians also reproduce rapidly. A single frog can lay thousands of eggs in one single fertile season. When ecological niches suddenly emptied, amphibian populations swiftly expanded to fill them within only a few short generations. Rapid reproduction is a quiet superpower in a broken world. Empty ponds crowded again in a geological instant. Here is the astonishing part. The Lysamphibian lineage, family of every frog and salamander, predates the dinosaurs themselves. These creatures were already ancient when Tyrannosaurus was young. They outlasted 3 mass extinctions before the asteroid even arrived. Skin that survived acid rain, bones that predate the age of reptiles, voices that still call from every wetland. When you hear a frog sing in the dark, you hear a chorus far older than the dinosaurs themselves. Why did 6 lineages endure while giants fell? Modern science reconstructed the survival pattern, and the answer proves elegant. It comes down to 3 things: a small body, reliable shelter, and dietary flexibility, a trinity of quiet endurance. Be small enough that daily calories are trivial. Find shelter buffering the thermal pulse, the cold, the acid rain. And eat almost anything. Crocodiles fasted and hid in rivers. Mammals burrowed and ate insects. Birds pecked buried seeds. Sharks scavenged the drowned. Turtles slept in armor. Amphibians hid in ponds and multiplied. 6 strategies, 1 shared principle. Endurance is not size. Endurance is flexibility. The evidence for catastrophe is written into the stone of our planet. A thin dark layer of clay on every continent contains a rare metal called iridium, a whisper of doom. Iridium is rare in Earth's crust, but abundant in asteroids. That layer is the fingerprint of the impact itself. Above it, the fossils of dinosaurs vanish. Below it, they flourish. A boundary sealed forever between 2 lost worlds. In the 1990s, geophysicists found a smoking gun buried beneath the Yucatán Peninsula, half sunk under the Gulf. They mapped an impact crater 180 kilometers across, the now legendary Chicxulub crater, the killer's true fingerprint. The exact age matched the extinction layer. The exact size matched the theoretical impactor. The case was finally closed. A single asteroid in a single instant redirected the entire history of life on planet Earth forever afterward. But extinction is not only an ending, it is also a reset button, inviting invention into every emptied niche. In the 10 million years after the asteroid, mammals exploded in staggering diversity across every recovered continent. Tiny insectivores became grazers, predators, swimmers, flyers. Whales evolved from land mammals that walked into the sea. Bats took the empty skies. Horses ran across new grasslands that had themselves risen in the wake of ash. Every mammal alive today, from blue whale to naked mole rat, from elephant to yourself, traces this lineage. All owe existence to those 6 tiny survivors and the empty, waiting world they quietly inherited afterward. Think of it this way. The dinosaurs ruled the stage for 160 million uninterrupted years. In one afternoon, the stage was cleared, and the understudies, the small, the burrowing, the feathered, stepped forward. What we call the modern world is simply the sequel written by these 6 quiet, patient mammalian lineages. And the next extinction chapter, terrifyingly, has already begun to unfold beneath our own restless feet today. Modern science tells us we are living through a 6th mass extinction, driven now by our own activity. Species are vanishing at rates unseen since the very day the Cretaceous sky itself fell in fire. Yet the lesson of the Cretaceous still whispers. Small, flexible, patient lineages endure. Specialized giants do not. Whether the falling giants this time include our own species depends on the choices of one generation, ours. Subscribe to continue the journey into worlds that no longer exist. The next chapter awaits your return. The crocodile watches from the riverbank. The salamander waits under the stone. The shark cruises the dark ocean. The turtle drifts within warm equatorial currents. The little bird sings from the branch above your quiet window. The mammal, small and clever, looks back at you from the mirror. 6 survivors, 6 living blueprints revealed. 6 proofs that life, once truly ignited, remains extraordinarily difficult indeed to extinguish from this restless blue planet. If this journey has moved you, subscribe now to continue the voyage into a world no longer existing. Activate the bell now so you never miss another chapter of the ongoing Prehistoric World series to come.
The very next episode will carry you back further still, into the Shadowed Age before any dinosaurs walked, when ancient seas swarmed with creatures stranger than any nightmare, and first 4-legged pioneers dragged themselves onto empty shores. The Lost World stands only one single click away. Activate